Hey all, Ben here, East West. I'm going to have a look at gold and silver in this video. I'm going to do a combined video. So let's just start off looking at the US dollar to begin quickly. And so this remains difficult. We are kind of just wedging in here, but obviously being the dollar index, I think I don't think I need to say too much about this because I think this whatever's going on here and the strength that this is displaying um, is more about what's going on with the dollar yen. So obviously now the dollar yen, I think it's like 38-year highs or something for the dollar yen. So the yen is just weak as water. So that of course that is just a trend that you you just would not take on. Okay, that is just that's a trend. The textbook. That is just a trend. You just don't take that on. So that is obviously holding the US dollar up, especially the DXY because the yen is such a big component. Whereas when we look at the other big driver, the euro, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, it's just wedging in as well, right? It's not doing much. So maybe this euro is going to have a resolution pretty soon as to what it does, and we'll just have to see what that means for the US dollar. But right now, the rate talk is kind of, it's topsy turvy. Plus, we're dealing with end of quarter, which is always going to have some sort of effect on the market. But I just think for right now, this is kind of wedging in. We've got to wait for this to resolve before it either helps or hinders the price of the metals. Okay, so like I said, this is not a driver. It's just part of the driver. So, is it gonna have a tailwind or is it going to give a headwind to the price movement? And I think that's what I sort of think about when I'm looking at this. So this just looks like a resolution coming, and all I would say is if we do get a sharp move in the US dollar, well, that will probably translate to a sharp move in the short term for the metal. So that's just why I keep an eye on that. So just as we move over to gold here, and it's still just a process, we've just had this rally and we're still just in this process of correcting it. It almost, at this point, it's almost putting its hands up to be, an Elliott wave style triangle. So I don't know. I'm not looking at any accounts in terms of any of them that might apply Elliott to gold, but this certainly has all the telltale signs of a triangle. So an Elliottician would be looking at that. But like even if you don't like Elliott, that's not your thing. You could probably still look at this as being a pennant, okay, or something of that. It's definitely a contracting pattern, okay, and it looks like it's very close to resolving. So an Elliottician would say, well, I could make a case that is the resolution of the pattern, and that what I'm expecting from here, of course, would be a break of this trend line and a 5-wave move higher. That's what an Elliottician would say about that. Something that it resembled more like this, a strong impulsive move. But we don't have that yet, and doing especially triangles. Elliott wave's hard enough. Trying to apply triangles to it is also difficult. But nonetheless, I would just look at that pattern and think, okay, well, this definitely has a chance to resolve here. The other thing I kind of like is, just take that off, I like the way the RSI is holding 40. It just means that as we push off each of these lows, it just means that even though you've only got this one big bar down, but there's more sort of up bars coming through. The power in the up bars is outweighing the power in the down bars. Now that may look a little bit not right because you can see these big down bars, they're quite big, but this is simply a measure of the strength of the up bars against the strength of the down bars over the last 14 periods. And when we hold 40 like this, it generally means that the market's trying to stay bullish. So that's just another clue, not a guarantee, but a clue that I would suggest that this move is more likely to go that way than that way. That's what I would say. And Elliott wave would tell me that this is close to resolving, if not already resolved. So I'd be on the lookout for a move in the not too distant future, and I expect it's going to be higher, but we will see. So we're just in here on the very short term, and so what we would really want to see if we were expecting a move higher is, of course, at least a trend change, because we haven't had much in the way of that. Now, this last attempt we had was messy, right? We sort of had this, and we got up here, and that looked quite productive. Then, of course, we had the big fallback down, and certainly that could happen again. And if that happens again, this sort of idea gets blown out of the water. So what I'd be looking for is, well, I think this is the top that needs to be beaten to prove a trend change. That's what I would suggest, because right now we do have a slightly higher low. So just here in the short term, it looks like, and sticking with the Elliott case, it looks like you could sort of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make it 5 waves up like that. That looks like quite an impulsive rip. So you would hope to see the 3-wave move back into the retracement zone, and then of course you would want to see a bigger 5-wave pattern that took us through that top. That would be what I'd be on the lookout for. At this point, that's when I'd be going back to the bigger picture and starting to say, yeah, this looks like it's resolved. We now look like we have a fresh move underway, and you've got to be thinking about going long. This has been difficult to trade, of course, and the reason, of course, if it is a triangle, then that would fit the pattern of being something horrible and very difficult to trade. So we're looking for the clean move out of here in gold. So just moving over to silver now, and the thing with silver is, rather than that sort of triangular pennant style correction, this one has been much more flag-like, hasn't it? It's been much more in a trend channel rather than a contracting pattern. It's continued to trend in a downward fashion. So whether or not we've got enough to resolve this, well, time will tell. The one that keeps me a little bit wary, I mean, we had this great big push with the the great big collapse. So this was like another fake out. And the only problem I've got here, of course, is that we did make the slightly lower low here, which was on Wednesday. So that, whether or not that's enough, I mean, I think that's the question. We are still holding this 40 zone in the RSI, so there is still enough going on here in terms of the up bars to keep the indicator holding above the bullish zone, in my opinion. But yeah, this is still very, very difficult to resolve. So there's not enough that's clean going on here that would really lead me to be terribly interested. I mean, you can see once again we've just failed through our latest test of this zone just short of the retracement. So it's not giving me smoke signals just anywhere just yet. I mean, I think silver to me looks like it's got a lot more work to do to convince me that it's going higher. In terms of, what I'd really need to see is, we're starting to get the start of it, but I wouldn't call that a very clean, impulsive sort of move. This move through here, that to me doesn't look very enticing at all. In fact, it probably looks more like a 3-wave. Nonetheless, at the very basics, I would just need to see. Well, we were starting to get it, but we still yet to get that trend change. So, this would be the first point of call, I think. The first clue that maybe we can be on the lookout. I mean, we've done the first bit of it, but what we really need to do is to do that. Okay, we need to get above this peak and maybe come in here to challenge the measured move. Okay, because what we really need to see, and this is on an hourly, I mean, if we come out here to a 4-hourly, we still yet to see the higher high, higher low scenario played out. We're still getting the lower highs and the lower lows. So the problem is that if this comes in now, because we know we're just short of the retracement zone there, but nothing says it has to make it. The problem I foresee here is that, if this now starts to fail again, it becomes just more of the same, and it's not really progressing the way that a bull would like to see it. For a bear, sure, but this is difficult to play. There's no question about that. It's being really problematic. It's very, very choppy, and that is just synonymous with corrections. Okay, so not enough going on here for me just yet. Slight break here. It's not really a double bottom. If this had have been this high had have held this last pivot, I'd be thinking about it more. But to me, just as it sits, I would leave silver alone. I think gold looks much cleaner. So we've got to be on the lookout for any sort of hints of rate cuts, any sort of data that suggests that rate cuts are more imminent. If we see that, then I think gold is the one that warrants your attention over silver. We will just have to keep watching silver and see how it transpires over the next week or so. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.